greetings and salutations, one and all.
From your wake up this morning.
How you doing?
You're a winner.
Wanna say big ups to all my winners out there.
Sometimes I feel like I don't wanna go home, cause it tastes so sweet. Sometimes I feel like I don't wanna leave, oh no. Right now I feel like a jam down. I feel like a wind down. I want to hold on a bumper right now, make it turn bad, yeah. I feel like a jam down. I feel like a wind down.
Wanna say much love to everybody locked in right now. Those from near, those from far. Blessings to each and every one of you. Those locked in on TuneIn Radio on Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew, blessings to you. Those from across the pond, top of the morning to you over there in the UK, One Harmony Radio. King Genius, Queen Genius, much love.
From your wake up this morning, you're so winner. From your wake up this morning, you're so winner.
Blessings to our family up there in New Jersey. My brother from another mother, NIE Radio, the motivator.
We love our lives now, everywhere is vibes now.
Also out of New Jersey,
So watch out, Jack.
mix102.com.
Bring woman so nice now. What more could I ask for?
With their sister station in Jamaica, Earth 96 FM.
Get on and wind, she body got
Symbol, big up your status, bro.
tomorrow no show, so I live like it's my last. Oh, drinks in me and now, jump up and wave as the plan now. Just love and girl with the man now. Whoa, cause it tastes so sweet, yeah.
Want to say much love to the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com. Mr. Lindsay, veteran in the business, much love.
Sometimes I feel like I don't wanna leave, oh no. Right
The sound of voice in the background.
jump down, I feel like a
Track called Cheers to Life, kicking us off.
bumper right now, make it turn bad, yeah. I feel like a jump down.
So we have an information-packed evening tonight.
I want to hold on a bumper right now and get
So let me take care of some housekeeping.
times I wonder, yeah, where I wanna be when this time is over. Sometimes I wonder, yeah, how life would I be if you didn't have.
So of course, I want to say thank you to my segment sponsors.
Cause I love to see the girl and them go down and buck up the waist and get on and mind and nobody can wind up no more. Cause life is short and time
First and foremost,
like this, but
thank you to the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation,
now jump up,
OJLDF.net.
girl with the man now. Whoa, cause it tastes so sweet, yeah.
The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation is committed to protecting justice and equality for everyone, especially individuals who have been wrongfully accused, marginalized, or deprived of fair legal representation.
Right now I feel like a
OJLDF believes every person deserves the opportunity to defend their rights regardless of their financial circumstances. But they don't stop there, because the fight for democracy, it continues. So if you want to know and be a part of the fight as it relates to what is going on in the country of Jamaica, fighting corruption, go ahead and check out Reason with Rattigan, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. on a Saturday. Reggae Global Radio and YouTube. And come Reason with Rattigan and on YouTube. Wednesday nights, Wednesday evenings from 7:30. Visit the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation website, ojldf.net. See how you can get involved, what causes you can donate to, and anything that you donate to the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation goes to what you donate it for, so you can designate it. If you haven't been following them yet, go ahead and start doing so now. One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. Want to say thank you to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea S. is a licensed massage therapist operating out of Broad County, North Miami-Dade, and South Palm Beach counties. Y'all think I was gonna leave you out? Nah. So if you're visiting any of those areas and you need a good massage, or you live in any of those areas, or know somebody in any of those areas that you want to gift a massage to, Call up Althea and see if you can schedule one. She comes to you bringing her oils at her massage table and over 20 years massage therapy experience. 954-655-9000 is the number to get in touch. 954-655-9000. She only has one request outside of paying her. It's that she gets off her table and go sleep somewhere else when she's done. It's called the Kevin Stew Clause. And when you get on the table, you'll understand.
Sometimes I feel like I don't wanna go home.
I want to say thank you to the Global Base, Global Digital. Global Digital family navigates your journey across music, event planning, and much, much more.
Now I feel like a champion.
It's a realm where social spheres awaken through their mastery. So go ahead and embrace the invitation to liberate your creativity unbounded and free. Just like their consultation. Free.
Right now, man, get on bad, yeah.
You can't beat free 99.
Where I wanna be when this time is up.
The Global Base is your catalyst for everything related to music production, radio, and event promotions. Go ahead and link with them today.
Who life would I be?
Theglobalbase.com, DAGlobalBASE.com.
Me the girl and them go down and buck up the waist and get on and mind and nobody can wind up no more. 'Cause life is short
I want to say thank you to McNeil Trucking.
and it's my last. Oh,
With McNeil Trucking, your goods are in good hands.
drop this morning. You saw me now.
They're licensed and insured movers in the state of Florida and veteran owned too.
From your wake up this morning.
So if you're living in the Keys and want to move to Jacksonville, or Naples to Palm Beach,
Here we like
Pompano to Pensacola,
everywhere.
all points in between there, you want to move something to storage?
Watch out, Jaja.
You want to move something around the corner to a friend, a neighbor, a cousin.
Could I ask for?
You don't have the manpower, you don't have the equipment, you don't have the transportation, don't worry. You have the name, you have the number. McNeil Trucking,
Life is short and
954-406-9740.
drinks in me and now jump up.
That's 954-406-9740. And if you want to take it a bit further, move out of the state of Florida or into the state of Florida, they got you.
Feel like I don't wanna go home.
I can tell you they work well.
Things so sweet.
I moved last week, and they were my movers.
Wanna leave, oh no. Right now I feel like a champion. I feel like a
Trust me, you'll not be disappointed.
all on a bumper right now. Man, get on bad, yeah. I feel like a champion. I feel
Also, I want to mention
all on a bumper right now. Man, get on bad, yeah. Sometimes I wonder, yeah, where I wanna be when this time is over. When this time is over. Sometimes I wonder, yeah.
okay, I was wondering if this thing was going to behave itself.
In a soca.
Empowered,
Cause I love this.
the audiobook.
Them go down and buck up the waist.
Yep, you've heard me mention it before. I'm mentioning it again.
Life is short and tomorrow.
Go ahead and order your copy today on Audible.
Drinks in me and now jump up and wave.
Empowered, essential concepts and strategies every woman should know about self-defense.
Things so sweet.
It's authored by Jonathan Field,
Times I feel
narrated by yours truly, Kevin Stew. Available on Audible. Quick way to get to it, visit kevinstew.com.
like I don't
Click on the book cover, the cover of the picture of the book,
jump down,
and it takes you to exactly where you need to be to download your copy.
on a bumper right now. Man, get on bad, yeah. I feel like a jump down, I feel like a
Go ahead and get yours right now.
all on a bumper right now. Man, get on bad, yeah. Chase the life, here's the life. Say put your dreams them straight to the sky. Put all your problems them to the side. Cause it's a blessing to be alive. Chase the life, here's the life. Say put your dreams them straight to the sky. Put all your problems them to the
So,
I got my straight and out.
I got a couple more things for you, but those will come later on. Right now, I want you to call a friend, tell a friend, friends of your friends, friends of your enemies, enemies of your friends, and your enemies too. Call somebody, anybody, everybody, let them know it's time for the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. And it's community and finance night. In the background, the sound of voice. Track called Cheers to Life.
Jump down, I feel like a wind down, wind down. I want to all on a bumper right now. Man, get on bad, yeah. I feel like a jump down, I feel like a wind down, wind down. I want to all on a bumper right now. Man, get on bad, yeah.
And so, thank you, voice. Right now, I'm going to get into this whole meet and greet thing. And that's the best way I can term it. I want to say big ups to those who are locked in on YouTube Live. Blessings to you. And those who are here at the home of the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew, kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Patricia, blessings to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Go ahead and call somebody, anybody, even people you don't like. Why? Because it's not about you, it's not about me. It's about this guy right here. Who? Well, you're gonna meet him now. Though some of you might know him, a bunch of you might not. I have the opportunity to introduce him to my portion of the world, and I claim you all as my portion of the world. So, without further ado, this guy, Marlon Hill. Sorry, Moses Hill. And I'll tell you why I made a mistake with Marlon. Marlon Hill is an attorney down in South Florida that I've had on this broadcast a few times. So all day I've been saying Moses Hill and thinking about it because I'm wondering if I was saying it wrong and calling Marlon Moses. So that is where that come from, Moses. So please forgive me. It might be a cousin, I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, Kevin. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to be introduced to your part of the world and your community and to have this conversation with you. Thank you so much for having me. And whoever Marlon is, brother, I love you. We got the same last name, which means that we're up to some great things together. So big shouts out to you for just even representing the Hill legacy.
There you go. There you go. So Moses, tell us, who is Moses Hill?
Moses Hill is getting ready for this interview. I was asking myself, what do I want to wear? Who do I want to show up as? And I decided to be in that green juice, which is a brand that I started a couple of years ago, and during COVID to be exact. But Moses Hill is an entrepreneur. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been in business ever since I was 19 years old. I started up some cell phone accessory companies, and I moved from Florida to Los Angeles and expanded, into the southern Los Angeles area. And then I went into multiple facets of business, and I got into entertainment, and I was a campaign manager for a publicity and marketing firm for about 12 years. But, that was one of the greatest times of my life, that I had so much fun, that I was, working with so many different celebrities and tastemakers and brands. But one thing that I always knew throughout all of those different areas of entrepreneurship is that although I was living a fun life and making money and doing exciting things, I lacked purpose, and I lacked fulfillment. And so, although Moses Hill is an entrepreneur, and I'm an uncle, and I'm a godfather, and I'm a partner to the people that I choose to love and I choose to interact with, and I'm a business owner, I'm a therapist. I'm a son and a brother, and just a man of God, a man that really is committed to love, to peace, to harmony, to nourishment, to forgiveness, to compassion. A man that really just stands up for the properties of unconditional love. So that's the best answer that I can give you.
Fair, good enough. I'll take it. Now, you touched on a number of things that you've been involved with over time, and one of them you were in for 12 years. So, if I do my math correctly, then you might be slightly older than you look. Because
Okay.
nobody starts working at 12. Well, not full time anyway. and I don't let gray hairs try to
Uh-huh.
dictate anything because I started going to high school at age 10, and
Uh-huh.
one of my classmates had gray hair.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah,
well,
my dad had gray eyebrows when he was 17 years old, and he had black hair and gray eyebrows. So I
that's what I
understand.
mean. That part right there.
Hmm.
So, I don't let that try to dictate anything. I have one strand of gray hair right here. And I'm
I
very
got you in
proud of it.
abundance.
I'm very proud of it.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
in your adventures, you have come across a few things along the way,
Hmm.
but somehow you have managed to be drawn to, I would say, three,
Hmm.
which are the three that we're going to be talking about tonight. And interestingly enough, you started a business in South Florida, moved clear across the country,
Hmm.
and then came back to Florida.
Hmm. Yeah,
Not South Florida, but
yeah.
south
All of
enough.
Florida. Yeah.
And you have managed to get into something else. You
Hmm.
mentioned the green juice. You're wearing the T-shirt. I'm wearing one of my T-shirts too.
Yeah.
And funny enough,
Yeah.
my shirt, this particular shirt, says
Uh-huh.
stimulating appetite, not satisfying hunger.
Ah. Ah.
So, and here it is, one of your products is one to be consumed
Hmm.
for nourishment.
Hmm.
So we'll start with that. The green juice. I told somebody that my guest tonight, one of his products is actually a tangible product, green juice, and she said, "Have you tried it?" I was like, "No," but
Hmm.
two people that I know and pretty much trust have.
Yeah.
So I have no problems bringing this man on to talk about it. Tell us a little bit about this green
Yeah.
juice.
So that green juice, it's a superfood smoothie. It's got 16 ingredients in it, and it was designed to be a natural aphrodisiac that could restore excellent health in the body. So the ingredients are zucchini, celery, squash, cabbage, mango, apple, avocado, and banana. It's got maca powder, matcha powder, spirulina powder, and baobab powder. It's got raw gluten-free organic oats, raw dates, raw sea moss, and alkaline water that's at an 8.5 pH level. Now, the blend, it's been innovated over time. I looked at a video from 2023, and it was, at that time, the blend had strawberries in it and it had honey in it, and it didn't have alkaline water. We were using spring water at that time. But I always tell people, regardless of where you are, just start today, because perfection is not something that needs to be achieved, but practice is something that needs to be implemented on a day-to-day basis. So when we
Okay.
practice, we're able to achieve variations of perfection as time goes on. You know, at one point, somebody may be able to have something that's extraordinary. 3 years ago, that green juice was being consumed by people and they loved it then.
Hmm.
And then 3 years after, we've innovated it, we've taken things out, we've put things in, we've changed our labeling, we've changed our whole process, and it's gotten better. And today it's perfect the way that it is. So, that green juice, we sell it frozen. We don't put any preservatives. We don't add any extra sugars. All of the sweetness comes from the mango, the banana, the apple, and the dates. And because it's not a cold pressed juice, and because we're not extracting any pulp or fiber, we're actually regulating the glycemic index and the A1C. So it's got 7 grams of fiber in each 16-ounce bottle, and it's got 6 grams of protein in each 16-ounce bottle. So you can reduce the amounts of sugar that the body is metabolizing based upon the fiber and the protein. But in addition to that, 1 out of 4 superfoods, which is baobab, which is from the tree of life, which is the oldest tree known to man, that fruit, it has 6 times the amount of vitamin C that an orange has in it. In addition to that, it's an excellent prebiotic, so it helps with good gut health. But in addition to that, it also stabilizes, the blood sugar, the insulin dependency. So our blend has been proven through consumer observation and their results, having their blood sugar monitors on them. They see that it doesn't spike their blood sugar, but it provides them with sustainable energy for at least 4 to 6 hours within a 24-hour period. So that green juice is designed to give you stamina. It's designed to keep you full. It's designed to reduce inflammation in the body. It's designed to regulate your thyroid because of the iodine and the CMOS and the copper and the spirulina. And it's designed to taste good. A lot of things, I just tried this brand, and please, this is not anything to downplay any other company that is nationally or globally recognized, but I just tried AG1, which is a superior superfood supplement that's on the market today. And, I looked at the ingredients, I tasted it, and it just had that artificial flavor to it. And I looked and one of the ingredients were natural flavors, right? And, at the end of the day, when you see something either in powdered form or when you see something in the refrigeration section of the grocery store, it's guaranteed not to be a whole food.
Right.
That green juice, when we go into the big box environment, you'll find our product in the freezer, okay? Because we're not putting any preservatives in our product. So when people consume that green juice, they have energy instantaneously. They feel much better instantaneously. It's like you're giving your body something that is enhancing the experience of itself immediately as soon as you take the first few steps. So that's what that green juice is.
I was thrown off by the first part of the introduction of the green juice because here I was thinking you were going straight to where you ended up. But that first part, a natural aphrodisiac.
Yes, yes.
And then you started
So
listing
two
out the
things.
ingredients.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about it and I'm like, so a number of these ingredients I have consumed
Yeah.
and that never gave me that effect. So I don't know if it is the blend
Yes.
or what, but
Yes.
now I'm more inclined to try it.
Yes. So we make a joke within our company. We have a sales team, and we make a joke because we sell the bottles. Like I told you, we sell the bottles completely frozen. Okay. So
Right.
we make a joke, and we take the bottles out of the cooler whenever we're in the markets, and we click them together, and we say we keep it rock hard.
I can't.
and then we tie it in, and we say, you know, it's the natural aphrodisiac, and we sell it completely frozen, but we keep it rock hard, and we're clicking the bottles, and the consumer just starts dying laughing, and it's just the inside and outside joke. So,
You see, that's
but
that's
yes,
that's what years of marketing will do right there.
yeah. So,
This
but
guy.
to keep it, you know, in the space of results, maca powder is very well known to be a natural aphrodisiac. So, that in and of itself regulates testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone in the male and female body. So it's
Right.
regulating the libido. Sea moss, culturally, you know, being from Jamaica
Well,
and being from
yes.
Trinidad, you know, sea moss has always been known. You know, put your Irish moss with some milk and heat it up and put some cinnamon and nutmeg in there, and you know, and then you make your Irish moss, right? And
Yep.
that's
Yep.
gonna keep you nice and hard. Like, so we were raised, you know, with that. But then once I started doing research, I started to understand that raw oats in and of itself, not cooked. As soon as you cook the oats, it loses the aphrodisiac component. But raw oats are a natural aphrodisiac. In addition to that, when I was in the relationship that green juice was designed to support me in, okay, um,
I knew there was something up.
when I was in the relationship that green juice was designed to support me in, the my ex girlfriend at the time, she used to always cook zucchini and squash, and whenever she would make a meal with zucchini and squash as a side of that, sex was always amazing that night. And so
Mm.
I was always wondering, like, why, you know, and I would ask her, I was like, you ever notice that every time you make zucchini and squash, that, you know, sex is like, we just have more sex that night? And she goes, yeah, no, it does like something with the body. But she didn't know, but I ended up doing more research, and you know, the zucchini, the squash, the celery, and the cabbage, with that combination, and us not removing the fibers from those vegetables, it's supporting the body with manganese, which is an extraordinary natural aphrodisiac in and of itself, and it also helps with red blood cell generation. So
Right.
that green and extraordinary bone health. So bone health, right? Pun intended.
Yeah.
So your guests are going to be like, wait, did we sign up to hear about that green juice or about a sex class? Okay.
Right.
So it's one and the same. It's one and the same. So so with manganese, it's got 60% of the daily recommended value of manganese in one bottle of that green juice. Okay. So the blend really was designed for that. But when I moved home to take care of my mom after my dad had passed away, I started to make it every day in the kitchen. I just had one blender, and I was raised in a Caribbean household, my mom being from Trinidad. And every day, my mom was blending up something in the kitchen. You know, when I was
Hmm.
a kid, she would always make pepper sauce. Shout out to Jan's hot sauce. And, you know, she would always say, son, Mosey, come and taste this. And she would put her finger in the pepper sauce, and I would walk up to like smell it. And by the time that I tried to smell it, she would take the pepper sauce and put it in my mouth, and then she would just start cracking up laughing. It was always so hot, you know. So that's how I got introduced to blending things.
Mm.
And when I moved home, you know, I started to make it for my mom, and I would continue to take her to her doctor appointments. My mom had she would insert insulin through her belly. She was a type 2 diabetic. She had high blood pressure, extremely high blood pressure, irregular blood pressure. She had high cholesterol, super high cholesterol. My mom was overweight. She had digestive issues like ulcers and all of that. And when I started to make that green juice for her, all of her labs started moving in the right direction.
Mm.
Okay. And the doctors would ask her, what are you doing different? And she would just tell them, I'm drinking my son's green juice. And that resonated with me. Before I even brought this to the market, I knew that it was doing something special for my mom's health.
Right.
And from there, I really started making it for friends and family. And I have pictures kind of going through this entire phase of development. The bottles were different, the labels were different, and people were buying it because of how delicious it was and how beneficial it was based off of what my mom was saying and what I was saying.
Right.
Now we've got over 10,000 consumers in our database, and everyone that is consuming that green juice is saying the same thing. It works and it makes their body feel good, you know? So we're a very small company. We just started 2 years ago, really is when we got started in our first farmers market. And, you know, big thanks to Chef Kelly, if she's going to see this here. It was through her kitchen that I started the commissary agreement. If it wasn't for her having her restaurant and me being able to utilize her restaurant as our first space to manufacture the blend, we were only doing 30 bottles a week in her facility. Now we're doing over 1,300 bottles a week in our own manufacturing center.
Nice.
So once again, to go back to what I said earlier on, just start where you are. Just start where you are.
Right. That's awesome. And you said your mom was overweight?
Yes, yes.
So after the green juice, she dropped some weight?
Lost considerable weight. And for multiple reasons, things that I wasn't even aware of at the time, but I was able to understand through research and development later on. What I thought was the part of her weight loss was the fact that I was giving her something that was nutritionally keeping her full, so she didn't eat nearly as often. In addition to that, she had more energy, so she was moving a lot more. But she was 220 pounds when I moved home. By the time that my mom had transcended, so she had chronic kidney failure for 7 years, okay, prior to me even moving home to take care of her.
Okay.
But she was still overweight. She still had blood sugar problems, blood pressure problems, cholesterol problems, all those other things. But she also suffered from chronic kidney failure. That's what ended up taking her, was the chronic kidney failure, okay? And she had CHF as well for years prior to me moving home. So the quality of her life changed after I had moved home to take care of her. But these conditions that she had prior to were literally just kind of a ticking time bomb for her as she moved through the rest of her life. So she was 160 pounds prior to her having her stroke that disabled the left side of her body. Okay. And the stroke was stress induced. All right. One of the other things that my mom really suffered from was severe anxiety and generational trauma, unfortunately. Right. And she wasn't able to really move through that and manage her relationships with the family and so forth. So she harbored a lot of stress, and that stress literally caused a stroke, which was one out of, I don't know how many strokes she's had over her life. But as a kid, I remember her having 3 strokes, and then later on in life, she had 9 strokes. And, this one was just the one that did it, and it disabled the whole left side of her body. So my mom was very strong. She was resilient, but consuming that green juice literally changed the quality of her life and changed her labs when we would go to see the doctors. So I knew that something was very special about this. And unfortunately, with the government and the way that the government holds back, and whoever comes after me for this, but the way that the government holds back actually healthy goods to be consumed by the public, it's unfortunate, because the amount of red tape that I had to go through in order to bring this blend to market, which I'm grateful that I had to go through it, because without going through that red tape, I wouldn't have been able to refine this blend. But, perhaps their system is working at a certain level, because without the red tape, I wouldn't have been able to refine the blend, okay? Have a super professional facility that I manufacture it in, right? Because I would have still been trying to do it out of my kitchen if I wasn't forced to do it in an actual, commercial kitchen, right? There's certain things that these regulations and things, could benefit, but they really do make it difficult for healthy goods to hit the market. which is why as soon as you see a product go into a big box status, the quality of the product
Drops.
generally drops.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this was birthed out of your own personal need and grew to friends and family to now a whole nationwide community, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right now, at where we have access to the nation, but our target market right now is on the east coast of Florida, and we ship to everywhere else in the country. But from, I would say, St. Lucie County, which is Fort Pierce, Port St. Lucie, and Jensen Beach, all the way down to North Broward County, which is, right there around Fort Lauderdale, we are a very well-known brand. People, they see the truck, they see the logo on the truck, and I get stopped on the road all the time. I've got your stuff in my freezer, and people are excited. They see me, I'm walking down the street. I love your juice. And I really don't even know why they're still calling it a juice other than it's the name, but the name is synonymous to energy. So
Right.
our consumers really do know, like our consumers, they really do know that's the trade secret, that green juice is not a juice. It's an ultimate superfood smoothie. And that green juice is that green energy, because we're giving you a little, but you're getting a
A
lot.
lot.
And that's what the story is behind that.
Now, you touched on another thing, and I want to transition to that, and I'm going to come back to the green juice later on, because people are going to start asking, so wait, where can I get this green juice, and how can I get it, and if I'm not in Florida, what can I... Yeah, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
You mentioned your mom dealing with a lot of trauma. One of the other things that you're involved with is mindfulness. Now, how did that come about? And I'm leaning towards... Oh, before I get there, I want to say my mom transitioned after 15 years with multiple myeloma. And she was projected to live 7 to 8 years after diagnosis. She did a green juice. So I just wanted to toss that in there. But one of the other things that you're involved with is mindfulness. Now, another thing that you're involved with is hypnotic
Hypnosis. Yeah. Hypnotherapy.
treatments. Hypnotherapy. That's what I wanted to say. Yes. Now, I wanted to take those two one by one. And I'm thinking, because this is how my mind works. You mentioned your mom and trauma. And I'm thinking that you went along the route of these two things because of that.
My mom. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. My mom has been the muse of my success. And everybody knows that. Everybody that knows me knows that. My family, but the Caribbean side of my family is from Trinidad, and the American side of my family is from South Carolina. But through my research in genealogy, I was able to discover that my great grandfather was, because my dad had me at 47 years old, so he conceived me when he was 47.
Right.
So my great grandfather, my father was born in 1931. So my father's father had to have been born in the early 18 in the late 1800s. So my father's father had to have been born in the mid to early 1800s,
1800s.
somewhere
Yeah.
around there, So he was in a home through the census. He was in a home with 438 other people, okay? And he was a clergyman. So it's clear that in South Carolina at that time that there was slavery, and I'm sure that my great grandfather was a slave, but he was a clergyman. Okay, so I come from a lineage of pastors because my father's father, his name is Benjamin Moses Hill. Okay, and my dad's name is Moses Hill. Moses Hill, and my great grandfather's name, based upon the record, is Mose Hill. So I don't know if, based upon their writing of the record, that they just omitted the last S and his name was Moses Hill, or if he was really Mose, which would kind of make sense coming from
Africa.
Africa. Okay, right? So, um, or it would make sense that he was a Native American. Okay, because I know that that's also a part of that possibility there, that they were here. Okay,
Right.
so either way, there was a lot of trauma in my bloodline, and my mom suffered severely from that from an expressive standpoint, and my dad suffered severely from that from an internalized standpoint. Okay, so my mom felt emotion and created a lot of rage and anger, but she was the most loving person that you could meet. But
Right.
my dad suppressed his emotion and settled for a lot of things. So, when they met, they were both, I'm airing out my family history here, but they were both married, to other people. And then they got together to have me. So I have sisters from my mom's side, and I've got sisters and brothers from my dad's side.
Yeah.
And I was literally just talking to someone about this a couple of days ago. My mom, she had a lot of control over my dad, right? So she wouldn't let him speak to any of his kids from his previous marriage once they got together. Okay, so you can imagine how that energy, I was born into that energy. I was born
Right.
into
Right. Right.
infidelity. I was born into suppression. I was born into, emotional control. And so guilt and shame, I was born into that energy. So as I grew up, I was a product of not only the genetic association to my trauma, but I was also a product of the environmental association. With the butt whoopings and the cursing out and the all these things.
Yeah.
It was a part of my upbringing. So when I got older, I really managed to, and keep in mind, my father, like I said, he was a pastor. So that shift of being in church on a Sunday morning and then experiencing a whole week of fights and emotional traumas and all these things, it was very confusing, to be able to hear the word on love and then experience a reality of emotional turmoil, right? So I was raised in that energy. And as I got older, I really became committed to healing that, not for myself first, but for my mother, because I knew that she loved so much, but she hurt even more. And so I wanted to figure out a way to help her, because she would never go to a psychologist. She would never go to a therapist. She would make them so frustrated because, and back then the questions for psychotherapy was, do you know who the president of the United States is? Do you know what today, do you know what year we are in? They would ask simple like questions like that to see if the person was aware, or what,
Yeah.
had common sense or whatever. So my mom would just answer reckless.
Right.
She would just say dumb things, but she was very smart as well. So it would frustrate them. So she would never go to get actual help. She had a tendency to make the help frustrated because she didn't want help. She was just, this is the way that I am, take me or leave me. And so when I got older, I started to read different books to try to understand the human psyche. And this particular book was not necessarily related to the process of the human mind, but it was Think and Grow Rich, which was written by Napoleon Hill. And towards the tail end of this book, it talks about hypnosis as being a modality that could be used to support the power of auto-suggestion. And so it intrigued me enough to kind of just be planted in there. As time progressed, I ended up taking this transformative course called Landmark Forum. And I did that so that I can establish better communication skills, so that I can, once again, support my mom and try to help her to see ways to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And so one year in 2012, I was campaigning for Barack Obama, and I went to Las Vegas with a friend of mine. And on the way to Las Vegas, I had asked her, what does she do? And she told me she was a hypnotherapist. And I had no idea what a hypnotherapist was. I just knew what hypnosis was. And I said, well, what's hypnotherapy? And she says, well, I help people move through, things in their life and in a sense, reprogram themselves to live a better life experience. And I said, well, can you hypnotize me? And the only thing I knew about hypnosis outside of what I hadn't remembered in that moment, which was what I read in Think and Grow Rich, was being 16 years old and being up on stage and being hypnotized to dance like Michael Jackson and to act the fool up on stage with stage hypnosis. So that was the only thing I knew of it.
Mm-hmm.
She said that everyone can be hypnotized. What I didn't know then, which is what I know now, is that the majority of people are living in a state of hypnosis because of this very reason. We all want to do things that we have a desire to do, but don't have the ability to realize, okay? To actually step into, to be functional at. So there's tons of people that know that they want to lose weight, know what to do to lose weight, but won't ever lose weight. There's tons of people that want to stop drinking alcohol or want to stop smoking cigarettes or want to stop being angry and resentful towards people that they know that they love, that don't have the ability to do that because they're living in a past program. They're living in their trauma. And regardless if they read, regardless if they go to church, regardless if they go to cognitive therapy, regardless if they talk until they turn blue, the behavior never changes. And it's because of the program. So when I went to hypnotherapy school, I began to fully understand the mechanism of the mind and how the subconscious is where behavior exists, and where consciousness is where we're able to reprogram that with intention and a few other principles like patience and consistency and consideration and compassion, because we're dealing with something that has already been locked into place without our consent.
Okay.
You see? Okay. So when we're transforming that, we have to be very, very careful. Whereas back in the day with psychotherapy, maybe even today, because I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, I'm a hypnotherapist, but maybe in today with the idea of medicine and, and certain institutions where people are perceivably so far gone that they need to be restricted and restrained and in a sense traumatized more in order to heal. When we're dealing with that energy, we have to know that we are designed to resist change. So as deep as a trauma may be, it would be as resistant as the change is being suggested. So if my trauma is super deep, then my resistance is going to be even greater. Does that make sense?
Right. Got you.
right? So with hypnotherapy, what we do is we allow for people to enter into somewhat of a dream state,
Mm-hmm.
so that they're not fighting so that their critical mind is not fighting against the suggestions,
Okay.
you see. And so whatever it is that we are suggesting, we allow for the subconscious to experience that neurologically. Okay, and once the body is able to experience something, in Think and Grow Rich, it says, what the mind of a man can conceive and believe, it too can
Can
achieve.
achieve.
Okay, so the physical body, once it responds neurologically, the job is done. Once you feel tingling sensations associated with a thought or a suggestion, the job is done. Your white matter has already interacted with your gray matter, which is already interacting with the dark matter, which is where creation truly comes from. You see?
Okay. So you went to hypnotherapy school. I didn't even know the school existed. But you went to hypnotherapy school.
Yeah.
How long did that take?
2 years, which is the most amazing thing, because I never liked school. I never wanted to go to college. I had gotten a full paid scholarship to Indian River Community College for the performing arts. And I went for one semester and I said, this is not for me. I got a full ride. Okay. And I said, this is not for me. So I chose to work instead of going to acquire an education. And when the girl that I'm referring to said that she was a hypnotherapist, and when I'd gotten back from Las Vegas and she hypnotized me, okay, and in that session, I was able to experience who I am today. I had a fear of public speaking. If I were to hold a microphone in my hand, that microphone would be shaking like this. I would need to hold it with two hands because my hand would just start shaking, because I always had such low self-esteem that I never truly realized how worthy I am as a human being. So
Right.
when she had hypnotized me, I saw myself being a purposeful leader in space and time. I didn't understand why or where or how, but I saw myself doing that. And it led me on to this trajectory where I was able to really define and redefine and recreate my purpose, right? And once again, in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, it talks about defined purpose. So a lot of people, they think that, oh, well, I have to have a purpose. I have to have a purpose. Okay, define it. It
Right.
doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be what you do for the rest of your life. Just define it.
Yeah.
What do you want your purpose to be? What resonates with you? You see? And so what resonated with me at that stage of my life was love. And I asked the question to myself, I said, how am I going to make money selling love?
Right.
And I had no idea, okay? But when I had gone in to get hypnotized by this girl, and she told me that it was only a 2-year course, I said, I can do that. And it was the most amazing experience that I had ever had. And the hypnosis school is called Hypnosis Motivational Institute. They're out of Tarzana. Anyone could do the courses online now. For me, I actually went to the brick and mortar facility and studied, did all the in-house courses and classrooms and all that stuff. And then I did over 600 hours of clinical sessions in order to acquire my clinical certification. So it was very, very much in depth. And it was a really, really, really beautiful experience.
On the surface, kind of sounds like a lot to do to get there. But you had an idea of where you wanted to go, which made the therapy a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, it makes me wonder, can someone just, after learning how to do it to themselves?
Yes, yes. Self-hypnosis is definitely a thing. As a matter of fact, after learning how to do the art, to work the modality, I had hypnotized myself several times to move myself through other areas of my life, you know, relationship trauma. Um, every relationship that I had ever been involved in always ended in pain and disregard, and I didn't understand that. But what I was working through was severe emotional abandonment issues, okay, where once again, my subconscious was more familiar with being emotionally abandoned. So no matter how much I tried to show up for a partner, a girlfriend in my life, I would always wind up being emotionally abandoned, you see, and hurt and disregarded and inconsidered. So because that program existed in my subconscious in a space of unawareness, I
Right.
was always living that reality and not being able to do anything about it, no matter how hard I tried. No matter how hard I tried. So once I realized that it was something that I couldn't consciously move through, I hypnotized myself. And I remember it just like it was yesterday. I went out in my backyard and I was in a relationship with a beautiful girl. I'm not going to mention her name, but I will mention her ethnicity. She was Dominican and Puerto Rican, okay? And she was
Fiery.
so she was Dominican and Puerto Rican. And so for her, she was going through her own genetic trauma, you see?
Right.
So whoever we are for ourselves, it attracts that energy to us, with or without our knowing. Okay. So when I was with her, I was just like, why? I've given her everything. I've supported her financially. I love on her. I'm so patient with her. Why is she so angry with me? Like for nothing. I'm not messing around with anyone. Like I'm the best boyfriend that she could ever have. Why is she so angry and so bitter towards me? And why am I settling for this? Like, what am I scared of? Right. And so I went out in my backyard and I laid down in the sunbed that I had out there and I closed my eyes and I inducted myself with this phrase: I am no longer willing to experience or express pain in the space of my love. And I continued to repeat that until I had worked myself into a sleep state. And when you're self-hypnotizing, you have to do the same induction style. So I communicated with myself, I'm feeling lighter and lighter. With each breath, I'm experiencing a lightness. I'm drifting as I breathe. I'm feeling lighter and lighter. I'm entering into a deep sleep. And so I continue to do that and I continue to communicate. I'm no longer willing to experience or express pain in the space of my love. I'm going deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper. I'm no longer willing to express or experience pain as an expression of my love, going deeper and deeper. And I continued to communicate that with myself until I was knocked out. And so I suggested that when I am complete, that I will awaken. Okay? When I'm complete with this release, I will awake. And so I don't know how long I was out. I never really recall the time, but I remember waking up, kind of like Black Panther, where number one, where he was like submerged, and I think they did it in both of them, where he was like
Yeah.
in that hypnotic trance. Okay,
Right.
these movies, they really do give secrets. Okay, because when you are hypnotized and you're experiencing an alternative reality, you become something that is quite different than who you are. Okay, so I remember waking up from the hypnotic trance, like, and I got up, and then literally everything in my life that took place from there was so fast. 2 weeks from that day, I had flown my niece and my grandnieces and nephews to from Syracuse, New York, to fly in to see my mom because she had never met her great grandchildren before. One of my sisters came with my niece to visit my mom. That night, my sister said to me, "Brother, I need to confess something to you." Now, keep in mind, I was already in my 40s at this point. Okay, I'm 40. I'm 48 right now. I was 44 when this happened. Okay, so this was not even 4 years ago. She says, I need to confess something to you. I said, what's up, sis? And I have pictures of this. We were all together. My mom was holding the great grandkids. Everybody was happy. And my sister was there with her wife. And she goes, when you were 2 years old, I tried to drown you in the tub. And if it wasn't for mommy coming in when it was happening, you would have been dead. And I just started laughing. I was like, wait, what? You're kidding, right? And she goes, no. I tried to kill you because I was jealous of you. And I was the baby of the family. And then you come along and you are the baby of the family. And I just sat there. I took that in, and the rest of the night went on. Everybody went. My sister and her wife went to the hotel, and the kids and everybody, they just kind of hung out and you know, rested or whatever. And that next morning, I had gotten up, and I was in so much emotional turmoil. It was uncontrollable. I called my sister, and I just, as soon as I heard her voice, I just started crying. I'm like, sis, I need to come and see you. I need to come and see you. I need to come and see you. And she's like, okay, brother, I'm here. And so I went. It's like right down the street. It's a little hotel that's right down the street from my house. And as soon as I saw her, I was crying on the way there. And I just felt like that 2-year-old baby, just crying on her. I'm talking about ugly crying, you know,
Right, right.
You know, there's mucus that's not coming out of every hole, you know, it's
Right.
just ugly crying, you know, because I loved my sister, and I would have never imagined that. I would never imagine that. And that pain from that love,
Yeah.
was something that was released after I had hypnotized myself. Okay. And then in addition to that, a week after that, I had walked in, I was in my office. I had already been working with people doing hypnotherapy sessions and such. So I had my home office. I still have it here. And I walked into my home office and I sat down, and I asked myself, I said, why are you settling for this experience of pain? Because I had my ex-girlfriend at the time, well, my girlfriend at the time, ex-girlfriend now, she was living in my mini house in my backyard. And I said, I'm unwilling to. So I walked in the back and I opened up the door and she was there. And I said, I know that you love me. And I know that I love you. But the interaction of this love is only hurting us both. So I really think it would be best for me to support you to transition in whatever way best fits. But I don't think that our love is working for each other. And literally that next day, she was gone. It took me a year to stand up for myself in that way. Okay? But after hypnotizing myself, I was able to feel the worthiness to stand up for my love and not settle for pain as an expression or an experience of it.
Right.
So that's just a little story of how hypnosis works for the self. But that same thing applies to everyone that could potentially walk in and get hypnotized. They just notice things and things happen and they become aware of things. And it's just like, how come I never saw that before? And it's because we are all walking around hypnotized from the program of our past, even hypnotized from suggested media or worries. You know, when people are driving down the road and they pass an exit and they're already 3 exits down, they're like, wait, we're like, how did I do that?
Yeah.
My eyes were open and I'm in a moving car. How did I just pass that exit and I'm all the way in another city right now, okay, driving? Well, it's because you were in a theta state. You weren't in your awakened beta state. You were driving in theta. So you're awake, but you're not aware.
Right.
And that's how people literally live their entire lives.
Going through the motions.
Awake, but not aware. Yeah.
Now, there has to be a level of trust for someone to allow themselves to get into a state that someone else is controlling them.
Well,
And-
first off,
I use the air quotes for control for those that are
Yeah,
listening and not
yeah.
watching.
Yeah, so hypnosis has a lot of like stereotypes to it, or different types of what's the word that I'm looking for? You know, there's a lot of misunderstandings about what hypnosis is
Right.
and what happens when you're in state.
Okay.
So you can fall asleep in hypnosis. You know, people can be put into a state where they don't care what they are doing, but meaning that I'm so relaxed that I don't care that I'm dancing naked right now. Okay.
Right.
People can get to that state, but you're aware, like, you know what's happening. You may not. It's like drinking alcohol. You know, people always say, "Oh, well, I have to drink alcohol so I can loosen up." Right.
Yeah.
So hypnosis, in a way, kind of loosens up the character influence of an individual, but you know what's going on. Now, the integrity of a hypnotherapist is needed. Okay, so when people come to me, they already see my reviews. They, you know, I have a 30-minute consultation with people that costs them nothing, that I really understand what they're dealing with. When they come in, we are talking for an hour before we even enter into hypnotic state. I'm recording the actual hypnotherapy set, the actual hypnotic component of the session.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is that trust that's established. But I'll tell you this, Kevin, as human beings, if we lack integrity in any area of our life, that can be felt.
Right.
So not everybody can be a hypnotherapist. What I've recognized about most of the majority of the hypnotherapists that I've encountered, they are very good people. They are kind, they are loving, they are spiritual, meaning spiritually grounded.
Yes.
They're aware, they're patient, they're methodical. You know, they're representing the energy that they are working with. You see? So it does take a certain character, it does take a certain individual to be this. Not everybody can be a hypnotherapist. And matter of fact, not every hypnotherapist can do the same work. That's like going to a doctor that specializes in, you know, in
Joints.
and anything, in gut health or whatever. But
Yeah.
you have 4 different doctors, and not every doctor is going to be able to provide the same results.
Right.
So as a consumer, or as a patient, or as a client, you know, that individual must do their due diligence. They must have the ability to have some level of discernment, because you are laying on a couch. You are being put into a sleep state, you know? So if you're not feeling safe, just don't do it. Don't do it.
Does the client have to be physically in your presence?
No, not at all. I could hypnotize you right now and wake you up, you know, right here, digitally. You know, if you were to say, Moses, okay, cool, well, let's do that. You know, it would probably take me about 5 minutes to do an induction with you, and then I would work you through some suggestions, whatever that may be. You know, visualizing this podcast reaching a million, 100 million views, or and having your, whatever it may be. We would work through that visualization so that your body can experience the result of that.
Right.
Which kind of ties me into the mindfulness thing, but I'll wait until we segue.
Well, that's a pretty good segue though. But let me ask this. Well, not ask. What I'll probably do is bring you back for one of my health broadcasts one Tuesday, and we will do that.
Okay.
I'm willing to be that guinea pig for those who watch the broadcast or listen to the broadcast wherever. I am willing to do that on one of my Healthy Love. Incidentally, my health broadcast is called Healthy Love,
Okay, I love that.
which takes us to the segue that you just mentioned as it relates to the love sanctuary,
The sanctuary of love.
the
Yeah.
sanctuary of love.
Yeah, SOL, the soul.
Yeah. Tell us about that. Because this now is the third of the triad of Moses, if you want to call it
Yes.
that.
Yes.
The
yes.
Trinity
Yeah. Yeah.
that you are.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. The sanctuary of love.
Yeah. So it was very interesting. So God's Hands Hypnosis, which is my hypnotherapy company, it was created after the Sanctuary of Love was a thing. Okay. So in Los Angeles, I had already acquired my clinical certification, and I loved to do events. I loved to gather people together and have, intimate moments. And I really didn't have a reason to do it in the spiritual space until one day I was being intentional about spending time with myself. And I had gone up into Topanga Canyon, into this beautiful cottage area community. And I had invited a friend of mine who played piano, and him and we were in this beautiful cottage. And he was playing the piano, and I was writing a book that I have written, but I have yet to publish. It's called We Are God, the new book of Moses, the unspoken truth of self-love. And so I was writing that book, and I said, you know what, Ian? I said, we should invite people up here to listen to segments of this book and to talk about love while you play the piano. That's what started the Sanctuary of Love. And I said, we could call it the Sanctuary of Love. And so, because the book is about self-love, the unspoken truth of self-love. And so I said, oh my God, the acronym is SOUL. And so SOL. And so it just kind of like evolved like that, right? And so he goes, that's a great idea, Mo. And so every first day of the month, we would have the Sanctuary of Love. And so people would come up and I would read segments of the book of Moses, of We Are God. And I incorporated human connection experiences and hypnosis in those Sanctuary of Love experiences. And so when COVID happened, all gatherings were ended. Hollywood shut down. We weren't able to gather anymore, and everything went digital. And so once everything went digital, I really didn't adapt to that well. A couple times I had a few Zoom Sanctuary of Loves, but it just kind of trickled off. So when I moved home to take care of my mom, the botanical gardens had a space. There's a space in the botanical gardens called the Secret Garden, and I pitched them to do a video yoga segment. And because I'm not a yoga instructor, but I love doing yoga, so I wanted to have like a monitor, where I just had some yoga instructions going and have some music and just guide people through what was being seen on the monitor. but then it evolved into me doing mindfulness with Moses in the gardens. And so the Sanctuary of Love then became a nonprofit because I was donating 100% of the proceeds of people's registrations to the botanical gardens. Okay. And then I was also offering people that didn't have the ability to afford hypnotherapy free sessions and free counseling underneath the moniker of the Sanctuary of Love. So the Sanctuary of Love was offering events and free sessions for people that were unable to afford it. So I would sponsor people to come to the events that couldn't afford it. I would give 100% of the proceeds to the botanical gardens to support the education department, which was also helping kids that deal with and interact with autism. And I would do sound bowl healing with kids that have autism. I would go to the juvenile detention centers and teach the kids their mindfulness. All of these things I was doing underneath the moniker, and I'm saying was because the Created Soul is a nonprofit, but I haven't continued to do that work. I've gotten so busy with that green juice and with my God's Hands Hypnosis and all of my events, but the nonprofit is still there, and
Right.
I'm doing all of this work so that I can have the time to be that contribution in the future. So that's what the Sanctuary of Love is.
The way how these aspects of you come together is how you presented it. It just seems seamless, but all these parts took about how long to come together? You're talking about over what period of time?
Yeah, so the hypnosis, I got my clinical certification in 2014, somewhere around there, 2014. But I hadn't used it because I was still in the entertainment industry. Okay.
Right.
I had stopped and being a campaign manager for a publicity and marketing firm, which is called We See Stars. Shout out to Echo. I worked with her for 12 years. She's an incredible business owner, an incredible mentor, incredible business partner. After interning with her for like 6 months, I ended up carving a position for myself in her firm. And then we created a whole new, campaign management firm, with my leadership and her leadership combined. But I was already in the entertainment industry. So for about 9 years, so 2014, for about 7 years, I hadn't even used the clinical certification to do one-on-one sessions. I was using what I had already learned to facilitate these Sanctuary of Love events and hypnotize groups of people, but I hadn't used it for one-on-one sessions. So I remember during COVID, a friend of mine out of Canada actually called me one day and was telling me how much she was having some challenges within her life. And I told her name is Zoe. Big thanks to Zoe, because Zoe actually was the individual that started God's Hands Hypnosis theoretically, not the name of it, but the practice of it. So I started to do digital sessions with her for free. I told her, I said, you know what? I'm just going to do this work. I've got this skill. You're my friend. I love you. I'm going to do this just to help you out. So Zoe, her results, she just started speaking to all of her friends about what she had benefited from doing the work with me. So most of my initial clientele came from Winnipeg, Canada, for digital sessions because of Zoe.
Right.
Okay. And so as I continued to develop confidence in doing these sessions, when I moved home, I had started driving Uber. I had, was doing I started Airbnb, and, I had some Airbnbs in my house here that my mom allowed for me to set up. And one day I was sitting down and I was like, I don't want to go and work for anyone else. I had stepped out of the entertainment industry, and I really said that to myself. And then the universe, God said, you have a certification in hypnotherapy. Like, start that business.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it's a good idea. And so I was like, what would the business name be? And And everything in me said, your life is in God's hands.
Mm.
And I said, God's hands hypnosis. Like, that's how it happened.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I started my little business profile on Google, and I still did Uber, and I printed up some business cards, and it had God's hands hypnosis on it and my number, and everybody that I would pick up in Uber, I would have a really good conversation with.
Right.
And everybody would say, like, you really helped me on this call. Like, on this ride, like, do you do this for work? Like, what do you do outside of driving Uber? And I'll say, well, since you asked.
Right?
And I just handed them a business card. And so then my extra clientele came from people that I was driving in Uber. And so then those people started to tell people, and I never pulled out one ad. I've never placed an ad to do any of this work. It's just been word of mouth. And, but I made myself available. They always say, build a house and they will come,
Right.
And so if I didn't put my Google listing up, then people wouldn't been able to find therapy near me, hypnosis near me, or anything like that. And back then, hypnotherapy wasn't even a thing. Literally 4 years ago, five years ago, hypnotherapy was not really something that people would seek out for healing. So I feel like I kind of started that here in this part of Florida, where people really understood that this is a modality that can be used parallel to or in place of traditional psychotherapy, And so 2021 is really when God's Hands Hypnosis activated. And then Jams Solutions, which Jams is Janice and Moses. I wanted to start up a company so that my mom can feel purposeful. So I started up Jams Solutions in 2021, the latter part of it. And, 2023, the early part of 2023. 2022. I started Jams Solutions, and that was just a corporation that I started. I didn't know that green juice was going to be underneath that corporation. I didn't have any of that really planned out.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to start a company that my mom was a part of, that she was an executive of, without it even being anything to be an executive of. Now that company is generating close to $400 some odd thousand in revenue, and my mom, she would be just so elated, because it's just like, wow, this is my company,
Right.
And
right.
so I started that for her as well, and then that green juice, it started during COVID 2020, and coming home to take care of my mom and making it for her and everything, I started to push through the red tape of that in 2022. And I got through the majority of the red tape in 2023. And then my mom passed in June of 2023, June the 14th of 2023. And all of that energy that I had taking care of her, all of that time and dedication that I had in taking care of her, I started that green juice with. I put everything in there. I created the HACCP plan. I moved through all the red tape. I got approved the Department of Agriculture. Finding Chef Kelly was once again another thing that happened through me hypnotizing myself. Okay, I didn't have the money to set up a kitchen or to set up a manufacturing facility. So I visualized myself. I did research, like, what other options can a business owner take to have a facility to abide by the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. And that's where it was like, you can go into a church, you can, share a restaurant kitchen, you can, do those two things, or a commissary kitchen that the general public uses. So I went through all of those different avenues, but none of those were really working out. There's this kitchen here called Sunshine Kitchen or something like that in Fort Pierce that a lot of people use for commissary agreements, it wouldn't have worked for me because I needed storage. You know, I needed places to store my bottles.
Right, right.
And working in a church, it wouldn't have worked for me once again because I needed a place to store
Store
my
your
bottles.
bottles.
So I was just visualizing this taking place. And one day I was volunteering at the Botanical Gardens, and I was the treasurer on the board of directors for the Botanical Gardens. And I was hungry, so I was making a bank deposit at Seacoast National Bank as the treasurer for the Botanical Gardens. And I just continued walking in that plaza. And I saw this restaurant that I thought was a meal prep kitchen because it said Chef Kelly's on the front door. And I looked in and I saw some produce sitting on the tables, and I was like, what is this? And I opened up the door and I walk in, and immediately everything in me said, this is where you're going to make that green juice. And so I walked up to the counter and I asked, I said, can I speak to the owner? I was like, are you the owner? She's like, no, she's not here right now. And I said, okay, my name is Moses. And I introduced myself and I was like, I make this smoothie that, you know, I think would be great here. You know, I was wondering if I could like bring a sample for the owner or something like that. And she says, yeah, sure. Bring over a couple of bottles tomorrow and you'll meet her because she's working tomorrow. I said, okay. So I went home that day. I whipped up one batch. A batch made 11 bottles for me at that time. And I bought 2 bottles for her. You know, I refrigerated and I bought 2 bottles. And I dropped it off. I'm there the day that I dropped off the bottles. Like, she wasn't there at that time, so I just dropped it off for her. And the lady was like, come back the next day and at this time and she'll be here. So I did that. As soon as I saw Chef Kelly's face, it was like I knew her for 12 years. She was like, hey, and I was like, what's up? And she says, you're that green guy. And I said, yeah. And she says, I love it. And I gave my daughter some and she loved it. Whatever you need to do, let's get started immediately. Do you want to like carry it here or what? I said, well, I actually need a place to make it. She says, you can make it here. You can use my kitchen, whatever you need. Like, you just
Wow.
let's just do it. And I said, okay. Well, how much is that going to cost? She says, don't worry about any money. Just when you're ready to start, you come in and we'll work everything else out. And I said, okay. And then she goes, and I also do farmers markets. So if you want a place to sell it outside of here, maybe you can sell it in the farmers market booth that I have. I said, okay. So keep in mind, I didn't know anything about farmers markets. I had never been to a farmers market until I met Chef Kelly.
Wow.
Okay. So now we're in 13 different farmers markets. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah. And so, you know, that's what hypnosis will really do. You know, I felt myself finding a solution and my brand moving forward. I didn't know how, I didn't see the plan. I just
Yeah.
felt the energy of it. Okay. And it opened up. And that's just how it works.
Hey, when it's supposed to be, there's nothing for it to be but to be.
Yeah.
And here it is. The someone asked, when will your healing juice reach to Jamaica? Merle, I don't know who is coming to Jamaica anytime soon from Florida. It hasn't gone international yet.
Yeah, it hasn't. But Meryl, our plan as the company grows, keep in mind this is a 2-year-old company, okay?
Right, right.
And what I've recognized about companies that are sustainable, once we know about a company, it's already been around for decades. Okay?
Yeah.
So our plan is to have satellite manufacturing centers. So to take our proprietary formula and process and duplicate it in different parts of the world. You
Okay.
know,
That makes
we
sense.
want to, yeah, and then from that space distribute, right? So
Right.
in Jamaica, with the right resources, we would set up a manufacturing facility in Jamaica,
Right,
and
right,
we was manufacturing the bottles there. We're not wanting to logistically manufacture out of a country and then ship it there, because that would make no sense. That would inflate the cost per bottle.
right.
But if we're able to manufacture it there and have a team of people that know the blend, know the process, know how to do it, just like I have here in Port St. Lucie, to duplicate that in different parts of the country, our country, and duplicate it in different parts of the world, we will be a global brand with that process. It's just a matter of having satellite manufacturing centers in those countries. So my main targets are Trinidad, Jamaica, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic. You know, I want to take it overseas, to Asia, you know, so we can tap into the Asian continent, whether it be with China, Thailand, Vietnam, India. I definitely want to have it in Europe. You know, so my goal is to have satellite manufacturing centers no matter what part of the world we are in.
Let me tell you, Moses, just like the Moses in the Bible, yeah, you look like you're gonna be parting seas. Let me tell you, because just learning about how these three entities came to fruition and how they gel, it can't do anything but continue to grow. The individuals on YouTube live, I guess Tamara Peterson is somebody you know because she's saying hi love and
How did how did you even know about this?
this isn't a love that I've had in any time that I know of. So
Oh my God. I love you, Tam. Oh my God. Tamara's been a strong, strong, strong support from day one. You know, I love her so much. You know, she's an extraordinary woman. She's a veteran, you know, and she actually came to me because of the desire to be healed emotionally and physically.
yeah,
And so she started, our relationship started because of the mindfulness practice in my hypnotherapy company. And she was a client of mine first. And then she she was so determined to not only be a client, but to become a very, very close friend and partner. And she supports us with mindfulness setup. And she's been to every single mindfulness workshop since she started coming, which was over a year and a half almost. I mean, 2023 is when my mom passed, so over 3 years now, you know. And so Tamara is an extraordinary woman. I love her so much, and she even worked for that green juice in sales
yeah,
and process development. You know, she the induction pot that we use in our manufacturing center, Tamara gave that to that green juice, you know.
oh wow,
So she's integrated into not only our company, but and not only in our practice in mindfulness, but she's also deeply integrated into my life. And her birthday is one day after my mom's birthday. So Tamara's birthday is December the 8th. My mom's birthday is December the 7th. So I'll never, ever, you know, forget that. Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Um, we didn't really get into the sound bowl,
Yeah.
but it's something to for our listeners to keep in mind. What I do want you to put out there is contact information, your platforms, your social media, telephone, email, whichever way people can reach you. Because I'm pretty sure somebody is going to want to know a little bit more about how you do your hypnotherapy sessions and what they can get from it, as well as people asking about the green juice. So and your community involvement. Somebody else might be interested in that. So go ahead for me, please.
Yeah, so just to quickly touch on the sound bowls, sound bowl healing, it realigns the neurological and cellular frequency of the body. Energy is everything, and sound and resonance guide and create a flow for energy to be healed through. So all of the sound bowls that I use are Tibetan sound bowls. They're handcrafted, and they were selected individually by me for different parts of the body to be impacted, different chakra portals of the body. So the different notes and frequencies that the sound bowls resonate in unlock different parts of the body. So if I'm playing an A bowl, that's usually when I'm suggesting for people to visualize their life being lived in a particular way, because the A is the third eye, okay? And so the ascension chakra, the crown chakra is B, and then the root chakra is C, okay? So, and then it goes up from there, D in sacral, and E in soul, and F in heart, and G in throat, right? So these different notes, when you play the sound bowl, you have to understand, you don't have to, but it's good for the practitioner to understand what note their sound bowl is resonating at and what frequency their sound bowl is resonating at, so that when they are, if they're hypnotists like myself, when they're making suggestions, the sound is in alignment with the suggestion. So if I'm suggesting that if somebody is moving through an experience of releasing emotional trauma or resentment or disregard or regret, and they're releasing that from the space of their heart, and that they're recognizing and they're understanding and they're comprehending that that feels good, I'm resonating an E bowl, you know, I'm resonating an F bowl, right? Because I'm activating their soul and their heart chakra to release that energy while I'm making that suggestion. Okay. So that's really why I do sound bowls at mindfulness. Because, and I'd like to thank David Sanchez and his wife Julie, because my sound bowls, I've got 8 sound bowls, I believe, with the 2 little tiny ones incorporated, but they have so many sound bowls and so many sound healing instruments. So when they do a mindfulness with Moses event with me, they bring out all of their equipment, and now it's 3 people that are causing resonance of sound and tuning forks, and he brings his flute and all different types of instruments to help to release that cathartic energy. So that's just that. I just want to kind of touch on that because it is very important to understand why sound bowls are even something to use. And the way that I was introduced to sound bowls is when I had taken a trip to Thailand, and the Tibetan and the monks that were in the temples that I was walking through, I was so amazed. I was like, what are they doing? This is before I even knew sound bowls were a thing. Okay. They were just sitting there in a cross-legged position, just resonating that sound. And there was like 3 or 4 of them in a line, and they were just there, silent, just resonating the sound. And I was like, wow, that's so beautiful. And this was before I even had started to do hypnotherapy, you know? So these are things that were shown to me.
Yes.
That prepared me, not only from my trauma spaces, but from the environmental conditioning that prepared me for who I am today. That, you know, I wasn't raised in these things. Sound bowls, like, what are you talking about? In Baptist church, that's woo-woo, you know? It's like, oh my God, what are you trying to do with me, you know? Hypnosis is like, I'm not letting you do that. That's of the devil, you know? It's like all of these things. So I wasn't developed to be who I am theoretically, but I was designed divinely to be who I am through all the multiple facets of my life. And so that being said, once again, that green juice being green, the heart chakra's color is green, right? So I remember when I had sat down that one day and saying, okay, well, what is my purpose? What do I really enjoy doing? What am I really good at? And the answer came to me, love. There's no irony that not only do I have the sanctuary of love, not only do I manage the company God's Hands Hypnosis, which is literally transforming people's lives to love themselves and to see that love divinely is the experience of God. And that word is divinely the expression of God. And to utilize those components of the being, of the human that is being, to transform and to create their lives. Not only is that is, but also that green juice was designed to make better love sexually, but also green is the color of the heart chakra, which resonates love. So everything that I do is for love. Everything. Everything. Okay. So the way that people can find me, if you want to purchase that green juice, go to thatgreenjuice.com. It's not any green juice. It is that green juice. Go to thatgreenjuice.com. If you live anywhere in the United States, you can order. We do 2-day FedEx. We drop ship it to you completely frozen. You keep the bottles stored in your freezer and use them upon your discretion. You take a bottle out, you thaw it out in a bowl of water. It's ready in 15 to 30 minutes. You've got a full meal replacement ready to go that quick. If you're interested in doing a session with me, or if you're in South Florida, or if you want to fly out for an experience, go to the sanctuaryoflove.com/events. You'll see our up and coming events. And if you just want to have a session with me, you go to the sanctuaryoflove.com. You can either just go there and click book a session, and you can schedule a 30-minute consultation with me, and I will have a conversation with you for 30 minutes at no cost to you. I believe that's it. So you can find Mindfulness with Moses events. Now on Instagram, That Green Juice is at That Green Juice. On Instagram, The Sanctuary of Love is at The Sanctuary of Love. And if you want to find my personal page, it's at Hypnotiq Healer. And Hypnotiq is spelt with a Q because I loved that drink when we were doing Hypnotiq and Hennessy. Okay, the Incredible Hulk, who is also green. Come on, it can't get any better than that. It all ties in. It all ties in. So yes, Hypnotiq with a Q, Healer, Hypnotiq Healer on Instagram. So, and from there, you'll be able to find all the different portals. And you can literally just Google Moses Hill, and you should be able to find me. I'm out there.
See, Tamara is talking about, mentioned cathartic. We just, time just doesn't allow for you to address all the areas. And so, for a healthy love session, and we get to hypnotize me. We'll figure out
that.
what we're gonna address in that hypnosis, but we'll do that live on the Night Shift of DJ Kevin Stew. I'll put it out there on social media when it's gonna happen, so y'all stay tuned. Moses, I want to thank you for sharing you with us and what you do and how you do it. And I'm pretty sure this is the beginning of a long-lasting relationship.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
welcome to the Night Shift family, and you will be back.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. And oh God, your soca music in the beginning of the segment, man. Come on. I was dancing.
I saw that. At the beginning of every night shift, I do soca.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It really just grounded me. I was right there. I just loved it. You know, man, thank you, DJ Kevin. I really do appreciate you so much for having this conversation with me. I felt heard. I felt understood, and I felt considered in every way. And I hope that whatever any listener was able to get from this, it was able to support them in really believing in themselves. because I'm no different than anyone else that's out there. And wherever you are, just start from there.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you want to do, just start right now. You don't have to wait for things to be perfect in order to activate. You're able to figure out the things that you need to do as long as you take the first step. The answers come with each step. So take that first step. I love you all. I love you all. Thank you, Kevin.
One thing I didn't tell you,
Mm-hmm.
this was really your broadcast. I was just facilitating it. So, you did your thing, bro.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Listen,
you.
we'll talk.
Thank you.
Have a great
This was a
night.
wonderful experience. Same to you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Blessings. Yeah, people. Moses Hill. Look him up because I'm pretty sure some of you want to get in touch and connect. Let me drop a few. Yeah, Merle, he will be back. Definitely will be back. I had missed a couple of these comments here, but I'm gonna get to them in a minute. We have about 7.5 minutes to go. I have a couple of PSAs that I need to drop in here, so let me hit that before we wrap things up.
On October 28th, Melissa, a Category 5 hurricane, turned her wrath upon her homeland, Jamaica. In the aftermath, thousands of homes were destroyed, lives, pets, and livestock were lost, and dreams and hopes dashed. Resilient as we Jamaicans are known to be, our brothers and sisters on the island need our help now. To this end, the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, OJLDF, has launched its official fundraiser. Please donate generously at ojldf.net. We are depending on each and every one of you to get the most needed supplies to our people at home. Go to ojldf.net. That's ojldf.net and hit the donate button today. Thank you.
First Baptist Church of Sunrise, Florida presents Spring Gospel Concert on Saturday, April 4, 2026 at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, featuring Dr. Glacia Robinson,
Hold my hand today. Let's fall.
Evangelist Bridget Blurcher,
We can't sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. We can't sit down. No.
Minister Leroy Smith, and Second Chance. Concert will be at First Baptist Church of Sunrise, 6401 Sunset Strip, Florida 33313. Admission $50. Tickets available at the church office. MC Bishop John Wayne Manning of Omega Radio Station and Church. Jesus is alive. See you there.
He's alive. He's alive.
Friday, April 3rd and Saturday, April 4th. All roads lead to Crown Hill Theater in Brooklyn. Foundation meets the future with Rory Love and David Radigan.
Good morning, sound boy. Long time sound love reach ya.
Blessings, masses, I Rory Stone Love. Here to let you know it's all about April the 3rd and the 4th. See? That's right, 2 nights only where you can see David Rodigan and Rory Stone Love. See?
Make sure you're there at the Crown Hill Theatre, Nostrand Avenue in Brooklyn.
Tickets available at the Crown Hill Theater box office or log on to crownhilltheater.com and get your tickets today. Foundation meets the future. Rory Love, David Radigan. You cannot miss this event.
Lock them up, ready to go lock them up.
I'm here wondering what is going on, and I realize that this thing turned down. So I'm gonna draw this up one more time as we close out in our musical therapy for the night. This is new music from Code Red Band. The track is called Neighbor.
Turn to your neighbor and tell them you love them today. I love you. I love. Tell your neighbor.
It's only fitting
They might wanna hear you say I love you.
that we share some love with our neighbors.
Your neighbor and tell them you love them today. I love you.
So those of you that I just met for the first time,
They might wanna hear
love you same way.
I love you. You never know what someone's going through. Words are very powerful, so you should take every opportunity to say, I love you. Turn to your neighbor and tell them you love them today. I love you. I love. Tell your neighbor they might wanna hear you say, I love you. Turn to your neighbor and tell them you love them today. I love you. I love. Tell your neighbor they might wanna hear you say, I love you. There's someone out there having a bad day. The landlord keeps calling, time to pay. Pick up the phone, call them and say, I love you. Turn to your neighbor and tell them you love them today. I love you.
The angel.
Your neighbor, they might wanna hear you say, I love
I feel that hug.
you. Turn to
Magical Merle to the world.
and tell them you love them today. I love you. I love. Tell your neighbor they
Tamara.
wanna hear you say, I love you. Neighbor,
Lyris, I see you hiding back there, no?
yeah, 3 words that won't cost you. I love you.
These 3 little words.
I love you.
I do want to thank each and every one of you for hanging out with me tonight.
That will never cost you. Say thought you never know what someone's going.
And this is where we part company.
Powerful, so you should take every opportunity.
But do remember, look out for members of your community. Your community is not just the development that you live in, but it spreads far and wide. So those that you pass on the bus, the plane, the boat, the train, whether you walk, ride, or drive, these are members of your community. Do something good for one of them today, because you never know who's going to do something good for you tomorrow.
I love you. You never know.
My name is Kevin Stew, so I like to do it to you, for you, and with you. The night shift happens Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, 10 till midnight. KevinStew.com and affiliates.
I love you.
Catch me on a Saturday 3 to 8 with Reason with Rat again, and then 8 to 10 with the Saturday Stew. Yeah, Saturdays are long for me.
I love you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are in the world. From right here in South Florida, I bid you all a good night. Y'all take care, be good. If you can't be good at it. I'm out of here.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The night shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.